If you have ever been sidelined unexpectedly from an injury or illness or anything else, and all of a sudden the movement you love has been taken away from you, I think you are going to really enjoy today's episode. I'm talking with my friend Cheri Fletcher as she prepares for ACL surgery after an injury, and then we move on and talk a little bit after the fact. Hey there, I'm Amy Connell. Welcome to the Graced Health Podcast. This podcast is for women who want simple ways to take care of themselves and age their body as well. And of course, we enjoy a little chocolate in the process. I'm super excited to share this conversation today. This is actually my first interview, and we were able to do it in person. I met Cheri Fletcher through a Facebook group called Communicator Academy. Communicator Academy, by the way, is a really fantastic podcast because I'm a total podcast junkie, where they help men and women become the communicators God intended them to be. So this is where I have been learning a lot about how to communicate. And she and I met on a Facebook group. And then right after we met, she messaged me and she said, I just had an injury. I've been touching base with her and communicating with her, and we were recently at a conference and got at the chance to meet in person. So I said, hey, I grabbed her. She was so busy, you guys. And I said, hey, can I just have a few minutes of your time? So I actually sat down with her in the middle of the mess. So this was right before she was going to have surgery on her injury, and just took a minute to talk about what happened, what the plan is, where her headspace is, because that's such a huge component of our exercise sometimes, and all of that stuff. So I'm super excited to introduce you to my friend, Cheri Fletcher. So Cheri, welcome to Graced Health. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, Amy. It's so excited to finally meet you.
I know. We've been, I can't remember when we met online, but it was several months ago.
Through Communicator Academy. It was a challenge, a Facebook
challenge. Yes, and we bonded over running and wine and chocolate.
There you go.
So I've introduced you just a little bit before, but if you could just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, what you like to do, anything you want them to know.
Awesome. Yes. Yes, my name is Cheri Fletcher, and I live in Seattle. And there are a lot of things I love to do in Seattle, and one of those is running. And so running is something that I do for my own sanity and for fresh air and community, because I run with a lot of different friends, and it's kind of our time to run ideas back and forth. And also love to write and speak, and I do a lot of work in community with my youth and with women.
All right. Yeah, you and I have talked a little bit about some of the conversations and some of the people, and it sounds like we are very similar in that we love that side-to-side space.
Yes.
And it's so safe.
Yes.
And you can really just get it all out there. I think one of my strongest friendships developed on the streets of my neighborhood.
We call it pavement therapy.
Yes.
And then we say what is said on the road stays on the road.
Yes. It's what's said on the run stays on the run. But
yeah.
Since I haven't been running, that's probably better for me.
There you go.
So one of the things, too, that we bonded over is right after we met, I feel like online, you said, oh my gosh, I know you'll understand. This just happened.
Yes. You're one of the first people I reached out to when that happened, because I fell off the back, or I stepped wrong off the back of a U-Haul while helping my daughter move, and ended up fracturing my tibia, having several areas of bone bruising. I tore my MCL and my PCL and completely detached my ACL. And the first thing I thought was, I'm not even going to get to run while I'm here.
Because that's how you want to explore the area that you're in. Because she was in Tennessee.
She was going to be moving to Nashville, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to get some fun running in Nashville. And I'm, laying on the ground going, I just wanted to run.
I've had yeah, not an injury, but those moments that when you've been working for something or wanting to do something. I remember I was training for a half marathon and like I tripped and stubbed my toe and I thought,
Yeah.
I better not have broken it because I really want to run. You know, I've been training for this. I totally get that. So talk to me about what has happened since then. And I would really love for you, if you're open to this, to kind of dig into your headspace. Because
Yes.
particularly when you have been exercising, it doesn't really matter what it is, and all of a sudden it's abruptly stopped
Yes.
without your permission.
Yes. Yes. And, you know, a lot of times I believe that God will give us opportunities to grow within an area that we minister in. Because I minister to people that believe that the purpose and the value they have is caught up in roles and achievements. And so, you know, I just love running with my friends. What was your time? And what events are you going to be at? And now my friends were going to be going on to these events, and I was not.
Yeah.
And it, you know, running and exercising is such a good mental, you know, helps your mental psyche so much. And now I had to decide, like, okay, I have to watch my friends and be okay and cheer them on and not be able to do this. The first person I actually called when that happened is my physical therapist, who is also a running coach. And he told me, get up, told me what brace to get, and told me I needed to keep moving, not to just
really?
not run, but don't just sit and let that freeze up. Like, keep the movement going,
Keep the blood flowing and muscles.
And I told him I just filled a U-Haul and I'm driving 6 hours with my right leg, which was the one. And he just said, you're going to have to stop and just kind of get out and bend a little bit and keep it moving. And so many times people think they get injured, they need to stop.
Right.
And so.
And tell me a little bit how your exercise has changed since then, because you're not running.
I am currently running.
Oh, you are running?
Yes, until next week.
Okay, now I want to back up a little bit, because tearing your MCL, for some reason, I feel like you shouldn't even be able to walk with that.
I have moments at any time my leg could buckle.
Okay.
So you and I are here in California at a conference, and I have to go upstairs for things, and I'm very, hanging onto the rail because at any time that leg could buckle. I have been in PT. This accident happened 6 months ago. I have been in extensive PT to get everything healed and as strong as it can, so that when I have surgery, it'll heal faster. So I'm very careful, but he has given me permission to do some running. I'm slow, though.
And then you had also mentioned, like, you were doing some bar.
Yes. So my physical therapist is huge on bar and reformer and TRX.
Okay.
And so I just happen to have already be going to a gym that offers those. And so, and the classes are taught by physical therapists. So,
wow.
Yes. And
that's
so
impressive.
It's been very good, because they know what's going on with me, and they will say, we're going to do this, Cheri, you're going to do that.
Okay, so you go in and you say, look, this is my deal.
Yes.
Which I always recommend to everybody.
Yes.
Like, you and I are kind of in that same age group, right? Like, everybody
I'm
has
older
an
than
issue.
you.
Well, you don't look it. You're a life stage ahead of me. I do know that. But everybody's got an issue, right?
Yes.
And so I think, and was that empowering? I have to feel like that's really empowering to go to your instructor and say,
yes,
I've got a knee issue.
Yes.
And then you have that freedom to not
do
what everybody else is doing.
And, we're drivers, and sitting still is not something I enjoy. And so sometimes I could be tempted to just be like, I'm not going to say anything, I'm just going to push through this. But I know the long-term goal I have will not be achieved if I don't just do what I need to do here. And so I've got to really, God is like, okay, let's see if you can practice what you preach. And your purpose and your value are not caught up in your minute per mile.
Right.
Or mile per minute.
And I think it's so, I mean, we're Christ followers, and we know that our identity is in Jesus.
Yes.
But I can start finding an identity, I mean, as a personal trainer, as someone who leads, as a speaker. I mean, we can easily tap into those. And so when that is taken from us, it's hard. It's really hard. Yeah. Okay, so talk to me about your next steps. You mentioned you're having surgery.
I will be having surgery next week. And the Bible verse that I will be claiming every day is, "Be still and know."
Because you will be still.
I need to be still. And my love language is acts of service, and I'm going to have to accept acts of service.
Now, your love language in doing or receiving? Because
just
sometimes
doing.
It's a little different.
Yeah, a lot of times it is, but it depends. But yeah, my love language is in giving. I have a very hard time in receiving. And so, I'm looking at this as, of course, I absolutely do not believe that God caused this. I'm believing that He will use this to bring a time in my life where I will be slowing down, and maybe He'll be able to direct me in a way I wouldn't have noticed if I wasn't slowing down. And I will be able to have to find ways mentally to process things.
Because it's, you go on these runs and you go at 5 a.m. because everybody else has things to do. And it's not like you can say, hey, come over at 5 and hang out.
Exactly.
Or come over at noon or whenever. I mean, that is going to be a little bit harder.
It is.
Have you thought through that?
Yeah, it is going to be very hard because, like you said, I go at 5 a.m. because we all have lives. So that's my girl time. That's one of the gals that runs with me regularly is my pastor. And so that's our time to shoot ministry ideas together. And so I'm going to have to be very intentional to still kind of keep those connections and check in with them. And they promised to check in with me. And it is during the holidays, which makes it a little bit harder. Calorie count. But I have intentionally lined up things on my calendar because I'll be having to lay around. And so I do have things on the calendar like, okay, on this day, work on this, and on this day, work on that.
Okay.
So that I won't fall into I'm just going to do that tomorrow and just lay there and start.
So you using this time that you're going to have downtime to get some, to focus on other things and do so, get some things done, even though you may not be running around.
Get some things done that probably don't happen when I am running around. Yeah. So.
Oh, yeah, I can definitely get that. What would you say to the person who all of a sudden has had the rug swept over to them in terms of running or swimming or, whatever it is that they've been doing to encourage them in that time? Because I feel like you're not on the other side of it. Like you're in the middle of, what do we want to call it? I don't know what you want to call it, but you're in the middle of it.
That's such a good question because, you can always give people advice when you're not there, when you're on the sidelines, you're watching, but now, I'm in there. And I always think, okay, redirect. Okay, you're going down this road, what's your detour? And understanding that this isn't anything that is about your value, but don't use it as an excuse. I could easily right now go, well, I don't have to even try to exercise. I have the excuse not to exercise, not to move. I get the excuse to lay around. And you'll actually not feel good about yourself. It'll actually bring yourself down and have some self-defeating thoughts going on and whatnot. But I would really say, okay, I would recommend and I would pray that anyone going through this, or if it happens or when it happens, that you'd ask God, show me during this time where you want to redirect me and redirect my focus. And, my goal is to be back to running eventually, but I want to do it the right way and run longer. But maybe during this time, God will use opportunities that might not have come otherwise, and look for those.
That's so good. That's really good. I needed you when I was sidelined from that stupid Ciguatera.
I know.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm so glad you were. First of all, I'm so glad that we were able to finally meet
Yes, it was
in
exciting.
person.
Thank you.
And if people would like to follow you, follow your journey, I don't know how much you're going to be putting that on there. How can they get a hold of you?
So my website is cherifletcher.com.
Okay.
And there's contact information on that, and my email, Cheri@cherifletcher.com. And if you have issues or areas where roles that you have been in have either changed or been removed, and you have questions about that, I would love to talk with you about that. And yes, I'll be sharing my journey through this and using my Bible verse and how God, being still and know. That's so powerful because we want answers.
Right.
We want to know what's going to happen. We want to know what the outcome is. And God is like, I can't tell you that right now because you're not sitting still. I can't show you that. And so I will be processing that journey over the next few months.
As you're still?
As I'm still.
And you're on Instagram.
I'm on Instagram,
and
Cheri
Facebook.
Fletcher. Yep, Cheri Fletcher, or Cheri L. Fletcher on Facebook.
Okay.
That's the writing page.
All right.
Thank you
and
for
I'll put links to all of those in the show notes. I am so glad we could do this. And I know you have a lot to do because you've got to go up and down those stairs for the conference. So we can wrap this up. But thank you so much for your time. And I'm just so glad that God has put us together.
Thank you. It was great to be here.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that conversation between Cheri and I. I'm just so grateful for social media and the ability to connect with people just who aren't in my close circle of friends. Social media gets a bad rap, and I'll be honest, I'm not great on about using it. But boy, when I make relationships like that, it is so fun and exciting. As I was putting this together, I realized there may be people out there who are thinking, well, what happened next? How did the surgery go? How is she feeling? And so I actually asked Cheri about 10 days post-surgery, I think that's what it was, just to come back on, just let us know how she's doing, what she's been doing, how everything is feeling, what her headspace is in, and all of that. So stay tuned, and you're going to hear the second part of that conversation. So anyway, I was wondering if you could just give us a quick recap on how the surgery went, how you're feeling. Some of the things that we talked about was be still.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been still?
I have to. Torture.
I know. So talk to me a little bit about that.
The surgery went very, very well. The doctor told me that because I had been good with my previous PT and working hard at getting my leg in good shape prior, that my recovery would most likely be a lot better than most cases.
Okay.
Yeah. And he gave me permission to put weight on it the very next day.
Wow.
I know. I will say, as surgery goes, you're usually the second day out, you don't feel super awesome. So that day was pretty hard. But after the second day, I was able to control the pain with just some Advil.
Are you in a brace or what is that? What does your leg look like right now?
Yeah, I'm only in a brace if I'm going to do walking on my treadmill, which I have permission to do, or walking around the house. But if I'm just resting, which I'm having to do a lot of, I don't have the brace on.
Okay.
No, yeah.
Well, good. Okay, so you already have permission to walk on the treadmill. Why do I feel like, I guess this is how my son is. He's torn his meniscus not one time, but 2 times before he turned 16. I guess he was walking around. It's just, I still feel like with ACL, it's such a big deal that you should be immobile for a little bit.
I thought the same thing. The incision sites are super, super small. I was excited because I thought I was going to have a big cut all the way up. I think one of the reasons that it's doing so well is that they're changing from immediately doing surgery after an injury to letting the leg calm down and maybe getting some physical therapy and get it healed as much as possible prior to going in and adding another injury on top of and so I think that that's huge in your recovery time. And the mindset, yes, I do need to still be still and sit there. But the mindset of using it maybe as an excuse to not get up and get active can sometimes even prolong the healing. So he said, don't just lay there, like start moving your toes, start moving your foot, start lift, don't just sit there.
Yeah, because you need that blood flowing, and you need that takes the nutrients to the muscles and all of the tissue that it needs to have to repair.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. So tell me how you are mentally and spiritually handling Be Still.
My neighbor gave me a cute little fake tattoo to put on my foot that says "Be Still."
I saw that and I thought it was real, and I was like, wow, that's super cool. I have a really weird fascination with tattoos. I don't have any, but but it's like this, like, there's so many great stories. Like, I feel like body art has the best stories. And so I'm fascinated with people with what they choose. So I thought you actually had that, and I was like, ooh, that's super cool.
Well, as writers, I mean, a tattoo is just journaling on yourself. I think, lots of stories. And I've always told people that if I were to get one, that's what it would be. It would be still on my foot. So I think it was sweet that she got me that fake tattoo, and who knows? I liked it. It's a good reminder. Lots of good reading and good writing, and trying to get some projects done that I normally don't get done because I don't sit down to take the time is helping me. And also because I want to heal so badly and I want to be active again, I'm going to do what I'm told.
You're compliant.
Which is rare. Very rare.
It's, I think that could be a much longer and deeper conversation about when we have a goal. We're more likely to follow what people tell us, for sure.
Yes, exactly.
And I do remember you telling me that you wanted to get a lot of projects done. So I'm happy for you that you're able to do that, because I definitely hear you on that. And boy, there's a lot of things out there on the back end of stuff that I do with Graced Health that just would take. Yeah, if I had a knee injury, I could probably bang out a lot of those. Not that I'm wanting one, God. I'm not wanting one.
Right. Like today, how exciting. For 1 hour, I got rid of over 1,000 emails.
Oh my gosh. I'm an email hoarder. Yeah. I have emails like from 2003. I'm not kidding. I mean, it's
and who sits down to do that? Never.
No one. I feel a weight lifted for you on that.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Yes, I'm terrible with emails. What does your physical therapy look like at home and in a professional setting?
Yeah, I haven't started physical therapy yet. I start next week. My mom's here, who is a physical therapist at the moment. I have a room where I normally work out upstairs anyway, set up with my balance balls. And right now my PT is just to move my legs slowly, very, very slowly on the treadmill and walk around the house. But I do have it set up so that I can do some upper arm and some core. As you well know, it's all related. Mm-hmm. And so keeping the other areas strong, the areas that I can, is so important to the overall health. And I have been even doing some stretching.
Oh, good for you. That's probably, if you're anything like me, that's probably something you don't do enough of, or at least that's how it is with me.
Right. So now it's what I can do. So it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I am so glad to hear that you're doing well. And like I said, I really appreciate your time just coming back on for a quick full circle wrap up, because I never want to leave anyone hanging. And it's a great testament to this happened. I'm going to deal with it, and just listening to your body and listening to what God may be trying to tell you in this short little season, and just going for that, so that way you can do what you are called to do, which, is my whole thing with Graced Health, right? Like, we take care of our bodies so we can do what we're called to do. So I'm so happy for you, and I just wish you continued healing as you go through this.
Thanks for checking back in, and have a wonderful Christmas.
She's so great. I just have so much fun with her. I always like to end, or I've started doing this, where I end the episodes with one simple thing I want you to remember. And that is going to be her mantra, her little temporary tattoo: be still. Sometimes we need to be still in our bodies. Sometimes we need to be still in our mind. I know my mind can get really jumbled. Sometimes we just need to be still and sit with God and see where He wants us or what He wants doing. And it doesn't mean going to Him and having this laundry list of praises and prayers and this and that, but maybe we just need to be still. Wherever you are, I hope you can find some stillness in your day. That's all for today. Have a grace day.